And what always happens with blank page poetry, which I really enjoy, is that it's very site-specific. In other words, the performers are all local, and the theme is based on issues that are pertinent to the community in which it takes place. So that not only the cultural, political issues, but the geographical issues as well. And so with this one, after talking to people, Marcus and others, gentrification seemed to sort of be the constant thing that everybody spoke to. But my sense is gentrification has a lot of different layers, literally. But I'll have people walk up to my building and talk about how their grandmother had a pet supply store. And they and their grandmother were Jewish. So that black community that's now under threat of being transformed exists in a place where a Jewish community was that was transformed. And if you start tracing that back, you know, we've got layers and layers of different cultures. So I didn't want the performance to be strictly about gentrification in that political sense. So the theme is Legacies Disrupted. Yeah, I'm ready to listen to some verbalization of these words I've been reading on the laptop.
I call this Emmanuel. We asked the red bottle brushes blooming off the back porch. We asked the woman who was singing and writing parking tickets. We asked the colossal white blossoms of the magnolia tree. We asked the cashier named Wilnetta at the Harris Teeter. We asked the cedar waxwings swarming the hollyberries. We asked the new baby, Helena Wren Silverman. We asked the hailstones striking west of the Ashley. We asked the oil truck that overturned and blocked I-26. We asked the helicopter circling the neighborhood. We asked the couple holding hands under a maroon umbrella. We asked the two mourning doves sitting close on the wire. We asked the cardinal who placed a millet seed in his mate's mouth. We asked the aviator's sunglasses forgotten on the porch table. We asked the smudgy smoke of the citronella candle. We asked the blue flowers on the Kleenex box. We asked the juice glass with a decal from a moose hall. We asked the first brown clutch of leaves in the green of the pin oak. We asked the empty hammock on the porch next door. We asked the crow we thought was an eagle until he cawed. We asked the green anole who hopped on a branch and turned brown. We asked the hawks whose chick refused to leave the nest. We asked the loquat tree that didn't blossom and fruit this year. We asked the mutant sunflowers sprouting under the bird feeders. We asked our neighbor whose throat is healing from radiation. We asked the house finch in the sconce with his eye crusted over. We asked the little boy who played dead under the pew. We asked the mockingbird who sang for 5 minutes before starting over.
I live in Charleston, South Carolina, where church steeples and cranes look over us, and multicolored houses house live-in servants. Where fast-rising hotels rise above slow-moving clouds that cast floods on the corner of America Street. Where parades of one color get one day to celebrate, then hide in the shadows of gentrification. Hide in the shadows of gentrification. Can I see the thing? I can't.
Oh, I feel better already.
Yeah, I
just did this poem up on stage, and it's easier in front of people. Yeah, it's easier to do on. That's really funny. Oh yeah, where Gullah cuisine is too expensive for Gullah people. Charleston, the holy city, where the steady beat of jazz is the beat of our streets and the dialect of our past writes future conversations, where bridges and bike lanes break bread with politics while progressives preach peace with uneducated tongues. And the angel oak tree is young compared to our vanity, where $16 burgers are sold in the middle of a food desert while every community wants a piece of the pie, and grandmothers sit on porches watching us change, while the problems of our city remain the same. We live in Charleston, and I see poems everywhere in my neighborhood. They write themselves, stumbling through winter's relentless stare and blinded by the bluntness of spring. They surround you before you slip into the sweet darkness of the sour night, sorting through a history of scrambled words. I am the tongue-tied baby of the family, the wide-eyed wanderer who finally found a home, walking past the broken-down buildings that hold the streets together and having real conversations with America, admiring her ball gowns down one-way streets while washing off the doom of her repugnant perfume. I see poems everywhere in my neighborhood. They are the graffiti artists of the sky, the glowing conversations written in the stars, the phone numbers typed in the cell phones, the endless puddles of alcohol that linger like rain in an unholy city, looking for God amongst the ghosts within.
Merlot, skin blue like Bordeaux Cabernet, a Madagascan brown, summoned by English Mark Catesby working for the Crown, scouting for a guide while Carolina bound, spotted Merlot, gathering berries to make plants for a ritual blue moon. Villages on the Indian Ocean revered night skies in radiant bloom. How do you say New World people? Comment dites-vous les gens le monde nouveau? Merlot replied. Très bon, follow me, said Catesby, on a tour to explore animals, birds, plants, and trees. Regardez, cherchez l'aigle. Look for the great eagle, Merlot asked. French, the lingua franca of learned men, Merlot joined the Englishmen in the summer of 1729. Merlot, arrayed in colors and feathers of a summer sun, boarded ship and paid a king's ransom. He braved the new world as Catesby's guide. He taught Englishmen what a new world provides. Merlot saved their foreign hides. Black cumin seed oil, berries, clay, roots, and leaves, indigo dye, and pokeberry juice to make inking lines. Elders' blessings Merlot learned as a child, applied when wet, but dried by the sun into permanence. Each tribe they met, traversing the land, Merlot kept Englishmen close at hand wearing symbols of native scouts. He knew the symbols of brethren. He saved the tribes from death by a gun. Merlot's spirits saved Englishmen, even as they decimated sacred mammals and trees, feeding thirst, hunger, and unknown disease. Merlot showed them herbs and honey, killing white spot infection, antiseptic bee pollen for daily protection, rum-seasoned coconut shells. Merlot saved English scavengers from soulless hell, flushed bile, cleared digestion. Laws of opposites do not apply in divine order. Merlot kept Englishmen alive. The Crown boasted, "The journals Catesby has wrought are New World marvels by naturalists sought, illuminated renderings of New World thought," scoffing the wisdom of oral tradition. Merlot returned home to his resting place. Cheeks were sunbeams of western sunsets. Hair was silvered with petals, feathers, and shells. Bones were salty as flotsam at sea. Memories of a new world were destined to be the sprinkles of stardust on rare blue moon glow. Merlot, young sage, led Catesby to document and know. Ancestors call Merlot home for reward. Everything temporal passes away. Merlot basks in the colorful glow of l'histoire naturelle.
My first time, 1973. Southern virginal white teenager. Places his hand on doorknob, shaking a little, praying to do it right. Entering the world of Mr. X. Ready to flee. He's a black man, she thinks. My granddaddy would die if he knew. I'm your student nurse, she croaks. No comment has he, looking away blankly. He scratches his arm, where disease has sprinkled a white, dry frost that itches and burns and wakes him at night. Slowly running warm, soapy water, she sees the girl in the mirror, hair up, starched nurse's cap, seersucker uniform, looking the part, steels herself. Soft cotton cloth mitt formed on hand, trembling, she begins. Softly, face first, legs, arms, and a quick swish swish to the most intimate areas. Somebody's baby once, soft, fresh skin, loved and cherished, wrecked by years, choices good and bad. Now soon to die alone, she wants to ask, are you scared? Instead, white hands spread lotion in circular patterns on his dark brown back, hard contact. And hears a barely whisper, thank you, nurse, as she shuts the door. Forged thread of courage, it remains a strong wire, twisted for confidence when it comes to fears, confronting differences on the journey to caring.
Within an individual lies the key to open the door to the peace of a nation. Many of our rooms hold a whirlwind of fear and confusion. Even as we enter each day with the imitation of false pleasantries, the door remains shut. A mask worn to protect our hidden truths, as our representative holds the distaste of daily life in the secret chambers of our heart. If our soul was revealed and past damaged goods can be removed and reborn to a healthy sense of self, allowing light to seep through and shine as the angels intended us to do, the mask would begin to fall off and the awakening could produce love. But not before the harsh realities of our wide eyes lose sight of the unseen hate that simmers beneath flesh, and the wounds can be opened to embracing the pain that affects us all. Unlocking the door to our rebirth is pivotal to our divine connection to God, our divine connection to one another. All exposure to hate must be rejected at the highest level and ingrained into our youth, taught to them as easily as ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, as simple as I cry when I hurt and I smile when I'm happy. Healing begins when we start holding family, work, school, community, business, corporate, executive, and presidential gatherings, even conventions, summits, workshops, and forums, all centered around the rebuilding of an authentic life of equality, respect, and appreciation, with the goal of living a life of freedom for all individuals on planet Earth. This is our anthem. This is our healing.
What nameless and untamed eventuality enshrines the rhythm of this rising tide, lending lyrics to the dissonance of bygone days, while festooned in a mosaic of diversity exploding into bloom. Yet there are mood-struck moments when the tyranny of the tide begs questions of the ever-shifting identity of the shore, asking how many long-standing communities have come and gone, homes filled with loving, now stripped of song. How many names, lives, means, and dreamers placed at the mercy of political schemers? And how much more misery might our hearts contain? Can our music sustain? Shall we now poetically proclaim in words as well as shadows? And how many voices, including your own, shall it take to imbue these legacies with due respect? We, the inhabitants of this low country living, in order to invoke a more sustainable union, embrace the memories of the heroes been and gone, while exulting in their fury, raging forcefully from across the sea. Hugo, aka Hosea. Matthew, better known as Emeridane. Irma, renamed Iona. Maria, consulting with Yemenya, the proxies of a natural disorder. Wave upon wave, the rising tide, receding, lays bare the raw earth reality of those who initially came to inhabit this land. The Pusabo, among the first to be gentrified out of existence. As century upon century, our needs have declared the self-assigned authority to claim, to inhabit, to rename in denial the homesteads of those who have come before. Dig deep and you will rediscover the striated history of bones and detritus piled layer upon layer, of the toys and joys of previous new beginnings, of the dreams and blood and sweat and sacrifice that once occupied the foundations of these places we knew as home. For therein lies our unambiguous identities, clear-cut as diamonds, compressed through the pressure of needs upon needs upon needs, disregarded.
Gentrifying them out of existence.
I am Kristen Alexander. I'm the Artistic Director of Annex Dance Company here in Charleston. I'm one of the movement collaborators for this project. The other dancers will be one of my company members, Julie DeLitza, and two other professional dance artists, Leslie Jones and Erin Lee. And we are using the words of the poets to inspire movement.
I turn left 1 degree. I hear the news. I know it's close. David Powers, Nicole Watts, Nicole's unborn child yet to be named. I walk in and I taste the pain, the confusion, black on white, my family, my people. Sam, Nicole's mother, wants me to read the autopsy with her. He shot her in the womb. He shot her in the womb. Days of funerals. The air is gone. I turn right 1 degree. I hear the news. I know it's close. Marie Graham Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, DePayne Middleton Doctor, Clementa C. Pinckney, Twanza Sanders, Daniel Simmons, Sharonda Coleman, Singleton, Mariah Thompson. I walk in, I taste the pain, the confusion. White on black, my family, my people. Lamar tells me how Twanza shielded his Aunt Susie. He shot them in the church. He shot all of them in the church. Days of funerals, the air is gone. Murder. Murder. I turn left and I turn right. Pools of blood of the same color lap at my feet. Murder in the 1st degree. ×2. 1 degree. Horrific murders in the 1st degree. ×2. 1 degree. The pain, the confusion, my family, my people, make it stop.
created in the moment based on what we maybe have just heard or how we're feeling about dancing about each of the poems.
I hear the news. I know it's close. David Powers, Nicole Watts, Nicole's unborn child yet to be named.
We've created phrases from the words, we've created improvisational scores from the words, and so some of what you'll see during the show will be set movement and others will be movement in real time. This challenge of dancing behind the screen has definitely prompted a lot of conversation about what the movement is going to look like in shadow, where we're placed, what we are in relationship to one another, and we're really excited to play with the lighting options. We as dancers always feel like you get something from movement in a studio, but there's something magical that happens when it becomes part of the theater, and this is just another added element.
Merlot, skin blue like Bordeaux Cabernet, Madagascan brown. My name is Ty Collins. I come here. I am originally from Philadelphia. I'm a retired educator. I currently work for the Middleton Foundation as an interpreter.
I'm Ed Gold. I'm from Baltimore. Moved down to Charleston about 8 years ago with my wife, Amy. And we live over in Ansonboro. I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I train people to write, and I'm a poet. Isaiah takes one last hit off his joint, stands up from the railing, puts on his plastic mask, and reaches up to spray DCL012 Gullah Blue.
I'm Dr. Melanie Kaysen. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I am a nursing professor at the Medical University of South Carolina College of Nursing. My poem is about an experience I had as a 16-year-old student nurse in 1973. Entering the world of Mr. X, wanting to flee. He's a black man, she thinks. My granddaddy would die if he knew.
My name is Marcus Amaker, and I am from my mama's womb. Military family, was born in Las Vegas, moved to England, Maryland, Japan, Texas, South Carolina. So I've lived a lot of places. I am a graphic designer, a videographer, musician, web designer. I'm also the poet laureate of Charleston. And that is a lot of what I do. Where fast-rising hotels rise above slow-moving clouds that cast floods on the corners of America Street. The poem that I wrote is a reflection of Charleston as I see it and as things change in the city. I felt like writing about it in a way that people will really understand.
My name is Hafiza Yates, and I am from Charleston, South Carolina. In my work I'm an outreach coordinator for People Against Rape. My poem is about healing. And the poem talks about how individuals process their thoughts and emotions on the inside versus what they present to the world. Healing talks about being unafraid to display your actual, true, authentic self with one another. Within an individual lies the key to the peace of a nation. How do I like being a shadow? It was a little strange at first, but the more I practice, it's more empowering, and it makes me feel larger than life.
How do I like being a shadow? Being a shadow is interesting. It's a letting go of the ego, which I'm all for. So that's been a really cool process for me to focus more on the words and the performance than what I look like. I think so much of performance poetry is, you know, there's a spotlight on you and everybody's looking at you, but people are going to be looking at the words for this experience. So I'm excited about that.
I love being a shadow. It allows a large degree of freedom and in expression and a loss of inhibitions. And it also illustrates the point so much better than just standing at a podium reading it. I can feel the poem in my soul, and I can tap into those feelings I had as a 16-year-old with the movements and expression. And that's why I like being a shadow.
I'm looking forward to being a shadow. It's an interesting proposition because I usually love to make eye contact with the audience. It's part of the fun of being a poet. But this time I'm behind a membrane and only my shadow is being projected. I'm looking forward to seeing how that feels.
Thank you for coming.